fuck? There you go. Excuse that French there. It appears that our stream is back on. I had trouble streaming earlier this week. Just yesterday we had a little bit of problems getting the stream up and going. And it appears that everything is looking healthy today. So the stream is up. We're both on YouTube and Facebook. Hopefully you guys can hear me well. If not, let me know and I'll adjust my volume settings. I'm going to crank them up just a bit. Alright, so we got real exciting announcements for you today. We actually updated the code on Tradingview a couple of days ago. So if you did sign up for the trial or if you have been using our indicators, then you should be on V2 already. Right? If you guys tried V1, wasn't quite happy with it, well, V2, we did a lot of adjustments. I'm going to go ahead and start off with XABCD. The scanner, a lot of you guys are asking, hey, how do we know that that's the reversal zone? Where's our stop for this trade? Where's our target? And so forth. So real important is what we did is we moved the pattern completion symbol to the PRZ, right? So as we see an asset coming down towards the PRZ where the formation ends and you see the 0.080 right here on the Gartley, right? So this, I'm going to make that green, and that's going to go ahead and signify the reversal zone, right? So if you're seeing a formation come down to complete, or even up here, we did have a 4-point, you can't quite see it because it turned into a Gartley, right? So that was a PRZ as well, and that would have been short, so we're going to make it red, right? So you're going to be able to catch a lot of swings and trade these formations. What's important about using XABCD or any harmonic scanner is you don't want to trade an incomplete formation, right? The last thing we want to do is see this PRZ down here and then start shorting and not profit take this PRZ, right? Or start shorting up here thinking, hey, we're going to come back down. Because of the way these are calculated, you're going to have several extensions that line up. This is a very rare scenario that we're seeing two of the same on the same asset, right? Now, what else did we add? We also added our targets, right? So you guys should be able to see this. I'm going to zoom in. So this is going to be our target 1. And I'm going to type that next to it. So your target 1 and target 2, and sometimes you're going to get a target 3 even higher. They're going to be highlighted on the chart. So that's going to be target 1. And above it is going to be target 2. On the short side, it works just as well. Right? Target 2, you're going to have the same thing. And what we also did is we added your stops. Right? We added stop losses for these entries. It's going to be the red line below. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my volume indicator at the bottom so you guys can see. And that's going to be your stop. Right, so if somebody is just using XABCD, if you don't have access to Phantom, let's say you're monitoring gold, and it comes down here, well, hey, not quite timed along, but as soon as we get this really good volume at the PRZ, right, this is going to be where everyone wants to enter, or even appear on this semi-flag, maybe do a secondary ad. What's more interesting, if you guys are using the suite and you have access to Phantom, I'm just going to make Phantom visible. This is my standard Phantom 7.6. We did have a strong buy zone here, right? So even if one didn't long the PRZ, then you get this close over here back inside Phantom. Here we go. What happened on Phantom? Phantom gave the buy signal. XABCD scanner signaled the bottom. Phantom gave a secondary buy. We did go through T1, and more interestingly, what we did to Phantom is we changed midline friction, right? And we also changed the colors of the midline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make these midlines thicker so you guys see them. I'll also do this pretty much to all our indicators. So inner rejection, I'm going to go with really thick lines. And same thing with our other inner rejection. I call them midlines, they're referred to as. And then for the rejection hit, I'm going to make these darker as well, right? Green and red. So what a red rejection is going to mean, it's going to mean that it's a bearish rejection, right? It'd probably be a good time to hedge or take profit or short, or depending on the scenario. And what a green one does means it's bullish, right? So here what happened is not only did we take out T1 on our scan, right? We took out T1, pulled back a little, it hit Phantom's midline. I'm gonna get rid of the scan. I'm gonna look just at Phantom. Now what's Phantom doing? We had a couple of rejections, now we had to push above. So what Phantom rejection lines and our rejections are saying that this is potentially bullish. If we get a secondary close and go up, then we're likely to go up higher to 1578. And I'm looking at gold just because we have the formation playing out on XABCD as well as Phantom, right? So had one entered down here, right, if you were buying calls or if even you're just trading like an alt or BTC or any asset, had you entered here, you definitely at this point at T1, you want to take profit at T1 and most definitely move your stop to entry, right, and let things unfold. So we took profit at T1, and now we're waiting to see, let's say took half profit at T1, move the stop on the rest to entry. Now we're waiting to see what this chart's going to do before continuing to our XABCD T2. Now if you're combining this with Phantom, it's going to be really powerful whether you're going to get it T2 hit or not. So if you get a push straight up or a push just like here and we get some red dots and a green one, then we're likely going to rally to T2 and then above it to the Phantom upper. I scanned cryptos like the big ones, and I didn't quite find any harmonics playing out on BTC, right? But we are in a Phantom hedge zone, a pretty heavy one too. Let me go ahead and release the scan. Now for you guys that are just now seeing this for the first time, I'm going to go ahead and remove all indicators, and once you have the scanner, right, you're going to go, once you have access, you're going to hit slash or click on your indicators tab, and you're going to click on XABCD or just type in XABCD, and that's our scanner, 2, 3, 4. We're going to click on that 4 times, right? And once we're in here, just going to move my screen a bit. Alright, so once you're here, you want to go ahead and change these settings. You want to click on the gearbox. You want to leave that 9. You definitely want to do a 13, right? And you can have your own settings. You can add 100 or 5 or 3. I usually scan with 4 different settings, and you'll see why. And then we're going to do, you can do 21. And a 36 or a 32. Alright, what that's going to do is that's going to hunt for these formations on a larger scale. So if you add 50, if you put 50, then you're going to be looking at almost 100 bars to spot a formation, right? A harmonic setup. Now, one other way to do this is once you set this up, if you want to screen through, you can just change your time frame, and now we're seeing a 3D, right? This would be a wolf wave, and this is likely signaling a short. Because the pattern is so far out, we don't have the targets printed. They were probably printed at one point before it went so far out in time. So I'll make sure to get rid of that bug, and that way we can maintain that and maintain those targets through the last formation onto the next one. Currently we're going to get targets for only the most current formation. So let's go on a 5-minute and see what we have. Looks like we have a lot, maybe a 10. Alright, so there was a PRZ down here at 97.36. It seems to be a valid pattern. Let's go ahead and turn off the other ones, right? Because we're kind of headed down. And what harmonics do is they enable you to long low and sell higher, right? So here we're looking at a pending formation. We do have the targets for that formation. The PRZ, which is our potential reversal zone. Go ahead and adjust that. Our PRZ is going to be right here at the completion mark, so 97.37. I'm going to change that to green. All right. Now, one thing you don't want to do is just pre-run orders, because patterns do fail, and if this one was to fail, you don't want to get stuck bagging. And a lot of times we call it a stop punch, where the asset will come down and take out the stop loss before turning back around. Now with our stops, we try to mitigate that, but we've been using this indicator for a while and running our calculations for some time. So what one wants to do is we definitely want to wait this asset to come down, right? If we start seeing a good flow of volume here, maybe the second test, and if it does fall through, right, and then it hits the stop and then volume comes in and puts it back here, then at that point, longing 97.37 and placing our stop below at the indicated level, right, is going to be wise. You definitely want to see a test and a secondary test, and volume, and you want to combine that with RSI or RBI, whatever you're using. If you're using our suite and you have full suite access, you guys have seen the power of RBI, right? It's pretty strong. So if price was to come down and we'd get one of these, right, a divergence and a blue zone, there's definitely going to be a turnaround. We still don't see that buy signal on this time frame, not just yet, not on RBI. Happy Friday, Delilah. Now, I mean, that's the 10, and let's go ahead and remove drawings. Let's scan the asset for larger formations. What was the last signal that was given? It was a short at 98.89, right? So you guys that were up during this pump, and you entered a short here, or at least hedged short, right, you would have gained quite a bit. Now, if BTC was turned back around and go to that 0.786 for a completion, we might want to look for a hedge up here, right? This would be our stop. This would be T1. This would be T2. Now, XABCD patterns, yes, and harmonics, yes, they could signal long-term reversals, but we're not going to go ahead and project like way far out extensions. At that point, what you would want to do is do a manual Fibonacci extension, right? For you guys that don't know how to do that, we'll go ahead and show you. So you want to go to, why can't I find my tool? There you go, the pitchfork looking one. And now you're going to go to Fib retracement. I did say extension, but extensions and retracement, pretty much the same thing. And once this is your entry, right, this would be T1. It shot right through it. We had rejection at the 1, back to the 50. Now we're pulling back down, right? So our next two levels would be 96, 88, and so forth. If you're still in that short trade and trying to trade a swing, but once this happens, right, you definitely want to move that short stop to the 38.2, which is my green. And these formations, they're gonna change as you change your time frame. So if you enter a short time frame, like this really intraday trade on a 5-minute or a 10-minute, then you want to go to the 30, you want to go to the 1 hour, you want to go to the 2 hour, and so forth, and really start zooming out and working your way out of a chart and working your way into the chart, right? Here we're seeing a couple of pending formations, right? But what makes these pending is they're not complete. And just because we see a possibility of completion at 10,000, right? Let's go ahead and move that screen. Sorry, I'm using a little bit wider screen than I am for charting purposes, or for streaming purposes. So what, just a moment. All right, so we don't want a long an incomplete formation saying, oh, there's a deep crab up here, or there's a wolf that's pending, I'm going to long all the way to the wolf. that's really dangerous, right? It's an incomplete formation. The wise thing to do would be to wait, to be patient, to wait for price to get up here. And if it goes up here and it keeps going up and it hits the D.618, right? We don't take the 3D, wait for the D.618. You want to be patient with these, right? And right now, because BTC and Ether are in such a strong uptrend, a lot of these formations are just barely hitting T1, right? These bearish ones. You're still going to see a little bit of a down move here, you know, barely a 30, not even a 32% retracement. It hit the 23, didn't go to the 32, and now it's going higher again. So you definitely want to look out for that, right? Make sure your trend, you're watching your trend. And this is a counter trend type of indicator. Let's move into Ether. If you guys have assets you want me to look at, Forex, throw me any pair really. Throw the exact pair, even stocks. And I will gladly go over them. 240, 360. Yeah, I'm trying to find a formation that's pending. Here we see several 4 points. Let's get rid of this 0.50. Right, and what's RBI saying? RBI signaling sell, a hedge. There's a doji candle. So there's a lot of telltales that we could potentially come back down. Or there's a few stops, so we could wake up to 230 and come back down. And this isn't an Ether update. This is just a session on these indicators. Now, what did Phantom do throughout this time, right? What are we seeing here on Ether? Well, this formation, this 0.80, it's important that I'm highlighting this. It's actually, it's been violated, so we don't want to trade it. And what makes a violated formation is a lower swing low. So this was our last swing low, and for this formation to pivot, for it to be valid for a short at the 0.080, which is our Gartley, right? For this Gartley to be valid, this swing low needs to be down here, right? So it's invalid. We don't want to take it. Anytime you've got a pivot way out of the bounds, it's like think of it as a voided formation. What had happened previously, we got this 4 point, caught the top, swing low, swing high, swing low, swing high, bam. Same thing back here, same thing back here. That's at Phantom. Throwing Phantom up on the chart, and let's get rid of our scanner. Phantom's showing a hedge, right? We did have a 4 point completing, we did have a long. As you guys can see, as I said with the new Phantom, you will get bullish signals and you'll get bearish signals. So had one head short here and you had this upwards break. Let's say you got stopped out on your hedge and price retrace. Well, that's your opportunity to buy back or add before this secondary move. Now, how much did Phantom capture on Ether just in spot? And I did signal 135, which was down here. 64%. Imagine making 64% on your bag. And you can. You just did. You did that on margin, so 3,200 actually. That's my Ether percent. All right. Let's hit me with some questions. Do you have any questions you want me to answer on V2, on the scanner, or on Phantom? Any general questions? You guys, once you want to go ahead and apply these indicators, right? Once you apply RBI, Phantom, and in the scanner, what I want you to do is you click on templates. Can you see that button? You can't, it's cut out. So you want to click on templates. It's on your Tradingview. It's right next to financials. And you want to create a new indicator template. You want to save indicator template, right? Let's call it CO Suite V2, right? And once you do that, you click on templates again, and you can add to favorites, and you'll have it up on your toolbar. So with one click, you can have all these settings up. I'm gonna go ahead and wait on some questions. As for Phantom, right? I'm gonna go back to we are on Ether. Let's look at like the 5-minute, for example. You know, as price gets up here and we do get further up and it does stop out. It does stop you out. You know, on these shorts where they're actually hedges. So the one time period you guys are in VIP, we're looking at 360, and I had a hedge here and it got stopped out, and now the 720 is saying hedge. One thing to do is look for that time frame continuity. So you want to get into these smaller time frames. 15 is out of bounds. What's the 3 doing, right? The 3 is inbound and it's kind of doing this chop. So if you guys that like to, if you're trying to market make, right? If you are trying to, if you're bored, you got nothing to do and you just want to market make and limit buy, limit sell, you know, you get into these areas where you can limit buy, limit sell, limit buy, limit sell, and make these market maker fees, right? So that's one way to approach this. And as we get in, and as of now, we're on the 3-minute, on the 5-minute, we're expecting to retest liquidity above, right? So you want to, whenever you have a phantom exit, what's important to do is you want to watch the re-entry and you want to see what's happening. And you're still getting green dots here. We've not had one red one. So we're likely going up to retest 226 or to test liquidity at 226. So that's a very important thing to know. Same thing on BTC, same thing on any asset. So when you get a phantom exit, let's go to XBT/USD. When you get a phantom exit on your higher time frames, right? Phantom exit, we go in. What was the first signal that phantom did? It was bearish. So BTC pulled back, and then once it closed above, then we had the green bullish signal. So that would have been an add long or take long or close out of this hedge for a ride up. You know, if you hedged here, what we did is I signaled a hedge up here, and we moved that stop into profits. We got stopped out overnight on the pump, and now it's really choppy. But if, you know, does this count as an exit? Let's go in a smaller time frame, right? The 5-minute took out a hedge short earlier, slightly bullish, right? We kind of want to expect that lower end liquidity to be tested. Based on the 5, based on the 15, we could see a move down, a violent one to 96.09. So if you filled your shorts here and maybe took a long here, or if you've been on the sidelines and you long the bullish break, shorted up here, long back that midline, shorted up here, long back the bullish rejection on the midline, right? Shorted up here, took profit, and now you're just setting it out. You're doing good. So you can actually use Phantom on the intraday and score some really good entries. Even, you know, on the 10-minute, this would have been, looking back, this would have been a good ad for a long. It's a 10-minute chart with a 7% target. If you're on margin, if you're on 10x, it's 70%. If you're on 100x, it's 700. That's crazy, right? For an intraday interval type of entry. Looking at the monitors up here for questions and comments. So if you guys have any, show me. Let's look at ETH BTC on Phantom. Alright, so we did have a strong hedge here. This is a strong buy. So if you're suspecting an asset of going for a breakout and you see these liquidity grams and you get a green buy signal, you definitely want to elongate here. And one thing I did is I counter traded Phantom after this move. You guys know that I signaled ETH BTC up here, right, on margin up. I said long it at 2x, really go with a really big bag, and it's up 16%, right? So that's 32 for you guys that went hard on ETH. And once again, if you look at the 360 and we got another time frame, good entry here, and look at that. Those mid lines, they're really, the way we redesigned them, the interaction, you want to long a bullish bounce, you want to hedge a bearish one. You definitely want to add long on one of these, right? You see a hammer above a midline with green dots, that's a rager. If you took that signal, I mean, that's a 20% target. Mark, I'm just going over that. So with V2 Phantom, it's mainly the midline interaction that we upgraded. So what we're gonna do, I'll go ahead and change the style up a little bit. So go ahead and do this, man. Change your midlines, your rejection, your inner rejections to dark, right? Like 3 times the thickness, as thick as you can. And the rejection hit, which would be the midline friction, that's how I like to refer to them. We're going to make them as visible as possible. Now, as you notice, they now have 2 colors on each one, right? And that's going to signify whether we're looking at a bearish or a bullish continuation, right? So, or rejection or continuation. So here we had rejection, rejection, fake continuation. Come down, you know, this is bullish, these 2 are bullish, this was chop, right? So at this point, if you long here, took a hedge here, stop above wick, stop below wick, right? Secure that range. If you're hedging like I hedge, right? And then boom, you get these few green dots below. The old Phantom wouldn't do that. So based on how the chart is interacting with the midlines, you're gonna get red for likely rejection, likely bearish, and green for bullish continuation. And I'm going to demonstrate that further going back in time, right? Something like this, right? Phantom re-entry goes up, nothing but rejection. You'd have like 1 fake green one, but I mean the odds of that were a lot more reds than a green, and we had a boom breakdown, buy signal, not even friction, right? And once what happened here? Once price closed below, right, and we had that last bearish signal, Phantom came down, the sell zone came down, and then this was bearish rejection. So it's going to help filter out that noise, right? Down here, bearish, bearish. This was bullish until it broke down, right? So you don't want to just exit. You want to hedge. For you guys that don't like hedging, I have no idea why you don't like hedging. Especially if you're VIP and you're using the indicators. I have no idea why you don't hedge. All right, show me some assets, guys. What do you guys want me to look at? What do you want me to apply these indicators on? If you don't have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I'm trying to keep this short and sweet, just cover the basics, and then maybe if you guys have more questions as they come up in Discord, I can do a secondary stream. What did I signal yesterday? BNB ETH, Ryan. I said do it on margin if you can. Look at that. Went up. Once again, you're asking about the Phantom updates. Is that as dark as it gets? I guess so, right? So we did have a little bit of a red top followed by a green. Now we're looking for T2 to hit based on Phantom. If you go to the 360, right? I mean, I signaled it down here and then up here with a stop below the lowest low. Do have other reasons for signaling it, but I mean, now we're likely going to see 0.103 and then 0.11 on BNB on Binance Coin. ADA. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and scan ADA with our scanner, then I'm going to add Phantom. You guys know I've not touched ADA this whole time. So for you guys that are running this candle, the 720 does signal really good ABCDs, or 4 points, right? I mean, you signal practically two bottoms on these, and then a bottom Gartley and a bearish 4 points. So this candle definitely works on ADA, bigger and bigger time frames, obviously. Excuse me. That's the 720. Let's check the daily. Not a whole lot, so 720 seems to be a really good time frame. Maybe a 3-day. Trying to isolate maybe a bearish Gartley here. There's not one. All right, so now let's go into the hourly. A lot of signals, right? A lot of signals. Last short played out. Last long played out. So you can say that ADA is a fairly harmonic chart. If you're on the sidelines right now, I mean, it can go either way based on XABCD. So what are we looking at? There's two PRZs, right? So if there's our bearish entry up here, and there's our two bullish entries down here. Now, what would Saber do? What would I do? What would a harmonic trader do? You would want to wait for pattern completion before making an entry. You don't want to long here and short here at the same time and say, oh, it's going to go up here, then I'll exit. Or it's going to come down here first, and I'll add to long. Wait it out. Best way to approach this, go right here, throw on an alert, ADA, Binance, BTC. Right, we just created one. Then go down here. We click that plus next to your price action and alert for ADA. Boom. And once it hits one of your PRZs, that's when you want to look at it and take a trade. If you guys are asking me to do this so you can take up positions, I'm not just going to do that. I'm just showing you how to use this, not so you can take like real-time positions. Now, what else do we know? Mark, Phantom, right? Or, what's our second favorite? What's our secondary baby? What's going on? It's on a Phantom on every time frame except for the hourly. What's more likely to hit? I'm going to isolate the 3 drive. So that's our 21. So I'm going to get rid here. I'm going to show you guys how to isolate a pattern. So when you want to isolate a pattern, because we're running this candle, we're running 4 different settings, you want to get rid of everything else, right? So you go up here and you click on the pattern. And what it does, once you do that, it's going to highlight which setting is showing that pattern. So you want to just shut off all the other ones. Now you have a really clean chart, right? So based on what we're seeing, right, there was some bullish patterns that PRZ down here. What is Phantom saying though? Where's support? Our hidden support is 610, secondary hidden support of 598, all right? So until this breaks, we're not quite bearish, but if you do get friction up here and move up, right, this could be a buy signal for completion and then a short, right? So you can combine these for in and out, quick execution, and steady, good, strong targets. Not only that, but Phantom's also signaling another sell with a 3D. So you combine these two factors, you could be in business. Now, let me go ahead and look up LTC, BTC. Boom. Only thing I need to say more. What did I say about Phantom exits, Phantom reentry? What's next? You want to watch these midlines? There's a D.618, and I'm only running one setting, so let's open it up. Let's open the harmonic floodgates. What was Coinbase using? He was using Phantom on the 15. Beautiful long, beautiful bull flag. Add over here, send it. Hedge, a little chop, right? Add long. So the 5-minute is likely saying there's that 4 point, that's ugly. Let's start with those bigger time frames because the chart is actually within Phantom, right? So likely liquidity is up ahead, up higher, right? We can get this D.618 to complete, which would be a deep crab. Until then, it's a no trade zone on either. Phantom's saying that liquidity is overhead because we're above this midline. Let's see what the 30 says. If you're in a market making, you want to play around, right? This is a good zone. Now, different scans on different time frames are going to show you different things. They're just different formations. So we could get a move down to the 30, right? Which at that point, that would be a long entry because we got a phantom buy and two formations, a 4-point and a 0.618, and a crab for another up move, right? T1, T2, T4, right? You get all these targets up here based on both formations. What's RBI saying? I haven't covered that. We haven't done any changes to RBI. We think it's very good the way it is. We're probably going to apply some changes in the near future, but we really wanted to get a more readable phantom. We wanted to give you guys the targets and the stops on the scanner because it's pretty important. A lot going on here. So I'm just trying to isolate different formations. Look at that. There's a butterfly up here, right? That would be the stop. That would be back to T1, T2. We wouldn't want to enter this trade until we hit that PRZ, until we're up here. I'm just going to scroll through various settings. And it looks like we have a 3D, go ahead, like a wolf, a 3 drive that's at the same PRZ, right? And this one's valid. There's no out of bound pivots. What about the 21? 21's showing something very similar. The 0.080, a butterfly, right? What's that? Okay, no settings here, but 3 different scans on the daily time frame are showing that a possible reversal is up here. That doesn't make it, fully more legit, but that's definitely an area you want to pay attention to if you're BTC, LTC heavy. Alright guys, we gotta wrap it up unless you guys have more questions. And ladies, if you have more questions about our suite, show me now. If not, feel free to drop them in Discord, and as we get more of them, we'll go ahead and do a round 2.